I'm going to do a quick reading of the February 8th entry from the Daily Stoic. Did that make you feel better? The quote is from Seneca, Moral Letters 78. You cry, I'm suffering severe pain. Are you then relieved from feeling it if you bear it in an unmanly way? The next time someone gets upset near you, crying, yelling, breaking something, being pointed or cruel, watch how quickly this statement will stop them cold. I hope this is making you feel better. Because, of course, it isn't. Only in the bubble of extreme emotion can we justify any of that kind of behavior. And when called to account for it, we usually feel sheepish or embarrassed. It's worth applying that standard to yourself. The next time you find yourself in the middle of a freakout or moaning and groaning with flu-like symptoms or crying tears of regret, just ask, is this actually making me feel better? Is this actually relieving any of the symptoms I wish were gone? So that's from the Daily Stoic audiobook, which you can get on Audible. I think all the other audiobook platforms. I would probably, if you're married, apply this more to yourself than to your spouse. I don't think asking your wife if getting it is going to make her less angry. But I have found when my wife has asked me that, when I've gotten upset, when I've found myself increasingly inconsolable and wanting to yell or shout or hit something, she goes like, look, is this alleviating any of the symptoms? Is this actually making you feel better? Or is in fact your reaction actually not only making you feel worse, but causing damage to the people or the things around you? And so I think that's what Seneca's point is like, look, things suck. We get upset. Bad things happen. We get frustrated. But the question is acting like a jerk about it or acting like a brat about it or throwing a tantrum about it, does it actually make it better? It might make you feel better for 2 seconds, but does it actually make it better? And in the long run, does it make you feel better? And I think the answer to that is almost always no. Hey everyone, I know there's a lot of business owners listening to this podcast, and the Stoics were the type who believed that there could be no carelessness or confusion or uncertainty as we run our operations. And this advice applies to everyone, but especially business owners. If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business. And that's the problem that our sponsor of the Daily Stoic podcast this week, NetSuite by Oracle, has set out to solve. World-class businesses and the owners who built them run on NetSuite by Oracle. It's the world's #1 cloud business system. NetSuite offers a full picture of all your finances in one place in real time, right from your phone or desktop. No more guessing, no more worry that what you don't know could kill your business. And that's why NetSuite businesses apparently grow 3 times faster than the S&P 500. And so can you. You can schedule a free demo right now and receive their free guide, 7 key strategies to grow your profits at netsuite.com/stoic. Set up your free demo and get your free guide today at netsuite.com/stoic. Thanks to NetSuite for sponsoring this podcast. We're going to do ads every once in a while here of companies we like or trust or respect, and they are our first one. So thank you, and I hope you check them out. Hey, this is Ryan Holiday. Welcome to another episode of Ask Daily Stoic. You send us questions about Stoicism. I answer to the best of my ability. I give you some of my personal advice, and then, of course, some advice from the Stoics. So my question, according to Stoicism, is that we must work on things that we can control and not on the results. But when one is trying to be ambitious and sets goals, most of the goals are result-oriented. How can I be ambitious and not worry about the results at the same time? There's some really good advice from Marcus Aurelius on this. So he talks about how to tie your ambition to external results is to hand your sanity over to other people. He's like, this is a recipe for misery. What you want to do is focus your goals on things you control. I can only really talk from experience here, but when I think about this as a writer, my goal is not to write a book that sells a certain amount of copies. My goal is not to hit the bestseller lists or to win certain awards. My goal is to write the best possible book that I can. Obviously, I want to sell lots of copies. I want to reach lots of people. I'm not averse to receiving awards or recognition. Ego is the Enemy came out. It should have debuted on the New York Times bestseller list, but it did not. Stillness is the Key came out and it debuted at #1. Am I calling one a success and the other failure? Even though by the same objective criteria, they both deserve to be in similar places? No, I think Stillness is better, not because it hit #1, but because I know that I was better as a writer. I put in more work, I put in more energy, I didn't leave any stone unturned. That it was recognized, that it externally noticed, fantastic, but that's not why it was better. I'm focusing my goals always on the parts of it that I control. Think of a football player. If your goal is to win a Super Bowl, it's great, but what if somebody drops a pass in the end zone? Your goal should be to have the best season you can, to do as much as you can for the team, to think about it in that sense. So it's not that they're goal averse. This is also kind of an Eastern concept, but it's when we're thinking about goals, it's like, how do we make the goal primarily about things that we control, that things that are up to us, and to use Epictetus's term. So that's how I think about it in my own career. I want to get better. I always want to improve. I always want to be making progress, but I don't want that progress to be up to other people necessarily. I want that to be extra. I want that to be bonus. And actually, one of the things I'm proudest of, which is actually kind of part of my goal on Stillness is the Key, was to be more indifferent to the external results. So on my first book, which came out about 10 years ago, trust me, I'm lying. Let's say I was 10% convinced I did a great job and 90% looking to see how it debuted on the bestseller list. I think it debuted on the Wall Street Journal list. Now I would say by the time Stillness came out 10 years later, or 9 books later, it was precisely flipped. I was 90% inwardly focused on what I controlled and 10% looking for that external validation. And I think that's a stronger position to be in, and that's a better way to live. All right, so somebody writes in, my sister has a bit of depression. I've been trying to encourage her to learn and practice Stoicism. One day I introduced memento mori to her, asking her to stop paying attention to criticism and trivial matters. And she asked me, so if I'm going to die one day, why should I work at all? Why shouldn't I go and play and enjoy my life? She's not happy at work. And so how does Stoicism and memento mori answer this question? First off, I would say if you're talking to a depressed person who's not feeling great about themselves, letting them know they're going to die is maybe not the best pick-me-up. I think what the Stoics would say is they might not actually disagree with your sister. You're telling her, look, life is finite. You don't get to do this forever. It's not, shouldn't I go and play and enjoy my life? You should absolutely enjoy your life, and you should realize that life is too short to be spent at a job, living away, living in a place that does not make you happy, that is not getting the best out of you. So I do think part of memento mori is designed to provoke the exact question that she's asking. It's not, oh, you're going to die, so let's go do heroin, let's have an orgy, as I've said before. It's, let's make sure I'm fully living this moment. And I think when I feel a little bit depressed, that's something I think about. I go, look, I'm not going to be here that much longer, so I'm not going to sit around feeling sorry for myself. I'm not going to whip myself. I'm going to get out and get moving and go do something. I'm going to try to make a positive step towards where I want to end up. That's what I control. That's up to me. That's what I want to do. So it's not that we think about death to stop paying attention to criticism. It's that we start paying attention to death so that criticism is put in perspective. So the frustrations with our job are put in perspective. The problems that we have are put in perspective. And what comes out of that perspective is a sense that life is short. The things that a lot of people think matter don't really matter. And we should home in on what we really do think matters to us and what really is important to us. So death is not what you want to talk to a depressed person about. That's a little glib and can be maybe the exact wrong thought you want to be planting in their head. But memento mori for the rest of us, for people who are frustrated or unhappy, should help put some of our issues into contrast and help us make decisions that otherwise might be a little difficult. Someone is asking, what does the inner citadel look like and how is it created and cultivated and used? So the inner citadel is a concept that comes to us from Marcus Aurelius. If you excuse me 1 second, I'll see if I can't find my copy. It's this book. It's really good. It's by Pierre Hadot. It's called The Inner Citadel. So the inner citadel for the Stoics is the idea that even if you're thrown in prison, even if you lose everything, even if you're attacked and persecuted, even if what life is throwing at you seems overwhelming, what you have inside you is this sort of indomitable spirit, this fortitude. Remember, that's one of the big virtues in Stoicism, this sort of courage or fortitude. And we cultivate this, I think, in a variety of ways. We cultivate it by meditating on the philosophical principles of Stoicism. The Stoics also cultivated that inner citadel by going out and doing difficult things. Marcus Aurelius is wrestling, he's boxing, He's hunting, he's doing physical activities, we might call them manly activities. But the point is, he's active. It's not just this sort of mind or soul thing. It really is cultivated in doing what the Stoics call hard winter training. So this is why, Seneca is jumping in and taking cold plunges. This is why he's fasting or eating rugged fare. He's toughening himself up for the world. So the inner citadel happens that way. The core defense of the inner citadel is probably that idea from Epictetus, like we don't control what happens, we control what we respond. What's up to us is our thoughts, our opinions, our emotions, the story we tell ourselves. So we realize, oh, they can do all these things to me. Epictetus says, you can bind up my leg, but I will still go on like being philosophical. I will still, you can't bind up my will. That actually happened to Epictetus. Like he was a slave, his cruel slave owner broke his leg. Epictetus knew that people could do things to you physically, but no one can touch what's inside of you. No one can make you go against what you believe. No one can force you to change your opinion. No event is so bad that you have to say it is bad. Ultimately, we control that. So the inner citadel, to me, is kind of made up of those things. It's the training, it's the exercising, and then it's remembering that inside of you, things can't touch the soul, as the Stoics would say. You have this sort of thing inside you that's totally up to you that even the worst situations in life can't touch. So thank you for listening to another episode of Ask Daily Stoic. Send in your questions to info@dailystoic.com. I like the more personal questions. If you want to talk to us about specific things you're struggling with, specific questions, passages you have questions about inside Stoicism, if there's things you want us to talk about, shoot us a note. I want to talk to you about it. Thanks for watching. Talk soon. Hey, thanks for watching Daily Stoic. If you want to learn more about Stoicism, you can check out some of our other videos here. Subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Keep learning, keep studying, and remember those 4 Stoic virtues: courage, justice, temperance, and wisdom.